Hey, how you doing? This is Kitch, and you are watching me play Factorio. Welcome back to the creative world, where we're going to be looking at an unloading station or two. Just one more time, hopefully. Hopefully this is the last time we have to do this. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to work out okay. I spent a good amount of time over the last couple of days just kind of working through everything that I want the station to do and how to get that to occur. And this is what I was working on. At least it has all the components that we need. We have up in this section right here, this is our RS latch that we're using to set our high and low watermarks for when we call the train, when we close the station. We've used that on all the blueprints so far. There's no new concept there. Down here, a set of combinators in order to control the inserters whenever they are activated. It's kind of a safety valve. It's technically not needed since I'm talking about splitting stations into individual items. If you're very careful and make sure that only certain trains go to certain stations, you really don't need that safety. It's happened to me too many times, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there. So yeah, that's controlling the inserters. They'll only grab whenever there's something in there that they need. I have a system right here that's kind of a new addition, but I think it's a good one. It was recommended in the comments on a way to do this. Actually, a couple different ways were recommended to do this. This is basically I want maybe like an overflow kind of thing, that if this station is requesting more materials than one train can provide, we want to call another train when that's done, and that is what this circuit right here accomplishes. We'll get into that a little bit deeper here in a bit. And then over here I have my station closing logic. I want to close this station down under two conditions. One condition is if we have enough stuff. If we have enough stuff, I want to close the station down. Also, I want to close the station down if there's a train in here. So if a train pulls in, that's a cue for any train that just happens to be queued up here that's wanting to go to the same station, that it is no longer welcome here and it needs to go find another home, the actual station that it was called for. So kind of a little safety device there, but it's been working out really, really well so far. And then the final part is the ringy-dingy. Got to have the ringy-dingy in there. So those are all the parts. I think this could probably be optimized quite a bit. I think a couple of those combinators could be removed, but it works. It works. So I condensed it down a little bit into this monstrosity, this big grid, and it works. It works fine. We can place these down all over the place and everything keeps up. And if it turns off, if it's no longer needed, we have our SR latch to control how many items are in there. And if we need more than one train full of stuff, it accounts for that as well. And I was happy with it. Until last night, Cornosian posted a design, and I was like, oh, that's so much better. I want to try to do that. So I did that. Basically the idea, so for this, if I wanted X number of items, I would just copy the station and post down X number of things. So they're kind of independent. His idea was more like, hey, let's take the logic that can be used. Since we designed this as a station that can hold multiple items, let's just expand that logic out and then keep the individual train stops just responsible for their individual train conditions. And I ended up with something like this. This is heavily based off of Cornosian's design with a couple of modifications here and there by me. But the idea is we have our centralized brain down here and then the individual logic for each individual item coming in. So we'll take a look at that. We'll go ahead, we will roll the intro and come back and get lost in some circuits. Big mess, pretty much a big trash fire. Yeah, lots of stuff that needs to be fixed in the main base. That'll teach me to not go and try to record a Factorio video when my brain's melted from doing circuit logic. All right, before we get to that station, I want to check out this station here. This was a idea that was sent by Terius G, or Terius G, or something along those lines. I'm sorry, I'm not a pronouncer. This station right here is addressing the issue we were having with a station requesting more items than one train can bring. So right up here, we have a very simple SR latch, and our R condition is 4.5K copper plates. 4.5K is more than we can take in a single train. We can only hold 4,000. So we found ourselves in that situation. And the way he solved that is with a belt clock, which you can see right here. A belt clock with 3 belt readers. Belt breaks, I guess, would be more accurate. I don't know. Do those have a name? Somebody look that up. Set to some logic conditions here. So currently this guy is, if you look really close there, I don't know if you can see it, but in between these two, there's a copper plate, one single copper plate that's traveling along this belt. And it stops at these different breaks based off of certain conditions. So currently this one is set if S is greater than 0, meaning we have enough stuff in there for now. Go ahead and stop that little piece from moving around. So let's see what happens whenever we remove these items. The piece goes free and we get another train come. There's a break right here that'll stop the copper piece. This one is reading the T signal coming out of the train station. So whenever we have a train in the station, that's going to stop that little copper piece here. And he is going to unload. Now, if he unloads enough, that S signal is going to come back and this break is going to hit. So that piece isn't going to go. But if he doesn't, oh, thank you, Smoke. It's going to come through and hit this third one right here that is set to pulse whatever's underneath it. I guess you could probably do a hold. Either one would work. Well, it's that copper signal, and if we look, I don't know if you saw it. It was just there for a split second. Boom, there it is, right there. We could probably set it to hold. But that pulse is what is coming down and actually requesting a train. Instead of doing the combinator stuff, it's actually the thing going under the belt reading that, pulsing, and then calling a train to come back, and then fill it up past 4.5, where our S signal now should be in effect, and you'll notice this second break has started. So if we send this train on, this one opens up, but it gets caught right here, so we're not going to call another train. A little bit different than what I had going on in the base as far as I'm, doing the combinator pulses and stuff like that. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to use it, but I thought it was a really cool idea. So maybe you can use it in your base. I forget about belt clocks. I haven't used one. There was some series back a long time ago. I believe I used one to make lights flicker on and off. I think it was something that I used a lot back whenever I was first learning circuits. But this is a really, really cool idea with it. I really like it. All right, let's get back over across the mediocre ocean here of Kitch's circuit designs and take a look at what's going on with this station. Now, this is primarily Cornosian's design. I've rebuilt it from the ground up, probably worse, but I needed to add some things to it, and I just wanted to rebuild it so I completely understood what's going on. We'll see how I do. So the main idea is some of the logic is global for the whole station. So if I took like this part right here down, that's going to be no matter how many stations there are here. And then we have this individual station component right here that we're going to come and we're going to paste down for how many ever items that we want to deliver to this station. So these are going to be all of our individual materials. And this is the SR latch calculator signal generator that's taking care of our train requests as well as what we have and what we need. Where do we start? Let's start right here where we usually do, I guess, at the constant combinator. So right here in the middle, right next to the chest, hiding behind this power pole, is where I've set a constant combinator. And this constant combinator right here is requesting what it is that we want to come into this particular station unit. The units here are in minutes, items per minute. So I want 20 fish per minute delivered to this station. I want 100 explosives per minute sent to this station. So whatever you're building over here, science module, whatever, you just calculate how many different items you need per minute, and then you put those numbers just right here in these. That constant signal is going out all the way over here on this red wire that runs up and down this set of power poles. Coming down and feeding into these two combinators right here, which are our high and low watermark. I have them defaulted at 3 and 10. So what that means is that whenever I get less than 3 minutes worth of items in this station, I want to call another train. And then when a train comes to fill it up, I want to fill it up until there are 10 minutes worth of items in that train. It just prevents trains from coming in all the time. We've gone over this a million times. We've gone over this RS latch a million times. But maybe not a million, maybe like 2. But this is that same design. Nothing we haven't seen before. And then we are taking the contents of the chests here and loading them onto this green line and coming and feeding that into the back of our deciders that are deciding, hey, do we need more items or not? I keeping the blueprint as the individual chests because we can actually take these and rotate them. And then I found what we can do is come over here once we've placed it down and merge all the chests together. We keep the circuit. It still maintains that logic and moves all of them together. So I think that's a good way to do it. So yeah, we're reading the chest contents, we're reading our request, that's feeding into our RS latch, and this guy right here is our RS latch. You can see we're getting output signals right now for fish and explosives because we don't have anything up here, so we were requesting those. That is being sent out through this combinator right here, which is mostly just acting as a one-way valve to prevent other items in the wild from coming back and messing with our logic here. There's also another function to it. We'll get to that here in a little bit, but that is feeding into the back, and this guy is sending out the request. So we look out on our network now, we see we need fish as well as explosives. So that's going out and calling those trains. And that's most of the centralized logic right there, with the exception of this combinator. We'll get back to it here very shortly. All right, let's take a look at our individual stations. This is working a little differently than what I was doing over there, and I like it a lot better because it behaves a little bit more like the original thing we started out with in episode 1. This is mostly Cornosian. Everything here is Cornosians, I'll say that. This is just me rebuilding it poorly and just adding a few things on here and there. But you remember, like in the first episode where I was trying to phrase the circuits in forms of questions, like what do we have, what do we need, what do we do with it, kind of questions. That's what this station does. And if we look at these 3 combinators right here, they are asking and answering 3 very important questions. We'll start over here on this one on the right. This is answering the question, what is this station all about? What item is it needing? What is it requesting? What's its purpose? And there is a green wire that is going from this constant combinator down to feed this circuit, and that's where that question's being asked. All these 3 combinators right here are just each item greater than 0, output 1. Is what that should be, right? So yeah, what item do you want? What is this station all about? We can see that we're outputting a signal of 1 fish. This decider combinator right here is answering the question, do we need it? If we trace this red wire back, we see that it goes back to our SR latch. So it is currently getting a signal of fish because we need fish, and outputting a signal of fish and explosives. Now, we're inputting fish and explosives. We're inputting everything and sending that out. We filter it out later in a way. We'll get to it. It's not hurting us right now to get that explosive signal coming through, even though this is a fish station. And so this is, do we care about it? I guess that'd be the way to phrase that. This is, do we need it? And this third one right here is, do we currently have it in the train that has docked? So this is hooked up to our train station, which is set to read the train contents. It's going into the back of this combinator, and we'll send out a signal whenever that is true. So we have, do we have it? Or does the train have it? Do we need it? And do we care about it? And if all three of those conditions are true, that's going to produce a fish signal of 3, and that's what all of our inserters are based off of. So if anything is equal to 3, all these inserters are going to be activated. You'll notice that these are not filter inserters. They're just regular stack inserters. Since we're not sharing stations, I don't think the filter's necessary anymore. And the logic we have here should keep it safe so that if a explosive train finds its way into this station via something that Kitch probably will do, it's not going to fire, because this question right here, do we care about it, is not going to read that explosive signal. So this one would show explosives, this one would show explosives, this one would not. So that would give us an item count of 2, which is not enough to set these inserters off. So that controls our inserters, and we've seen the logic coming through to control whether or not we have enough items. That is that section. Where do we go next? Let's go to this. Let's look at the green wire off of this one right here, because this is kind of something we've talked about, not only with the belt clock that we saw, but something I alluded to before. This inserter right here that is reading the items from the train, they are going to read the items. If it's greater than 0, it's going to output 1, and that is going to go out onto this green network. The green network is going to come down here and feed into the back of this combinator. That's going to multiply it by a -1 and output it, and then send it into the back of this combinator. Now, what that's doing is, let's say we had a request for fish, right? And that's going out on the network right here. Now, if a train comes in that holds fish, that's going to read, it's going to negative it out. So that's going to cancel out that signal, so it's going to disappear while that train is in the station. Now, once the train is done, one of 2 things are going to happen. Either this is going to have enough fish, or it's not. If it has enough fish, when the train leaves, this will stop, but and that'll stop canceling out that signal, but that signal will be gone already, so it totally doesn't matter. It's not going to go out because it's not greater than 0. That negative signal's not. It's not going to hurt anything. If we do need more, that S signal is still going to be active, so that and it was shut off the tick before, so that's going to send another pulse out on the network. So we're essentially calling another train. We're shutting the signal off and turning it back on if needed to send another train to fulfill that request. So this allows us to request actually more items than one train can deliver to a station, and it works out pretty well. It's essentially doing the same thing that the belt clock was, but with combinators. That is what is controlling that. That's this green wire coming down the side. Then, all right, one super smooth Kitch got confused video transition later, we find ourselves taking a look at this combinator right here. And this green wire that is leading to this train station. This is the logic that is controlling the on-off status of our train station. You can see we do have it set to enable disable, and we want it enabled when anything coming in is less than or equal to a -2. Currently, if we take a look at our input, we are getting an output signal of -2 coming off of this combinator. That is being fed into the train station. We're getting that -2 because we're getting our constant signal. What do we care about? That's fish coming out. And then we have a need for fish. We don't have it filled up in the chest. That's coming from down here. So that is 2 fish signals going in the back of this guy. That's being negated, sitting out there. So our signal is less than, or it happens to be equal to -2. Let's take a look at what happens when we fill up our chest here. That makes it a signal of -1 because our S condition has been set, and this combinator is no longer firing. That gives us a signal of -1 coming in at the max, and our train station is closed because -1 is greater than -2, not less than or equal to it. So we've got that situation covered. Now, we also want to cover the situation on whenever a train comes into here. We want to go ahead and turn off the station so that the other trains that may have piled up behind it can just take this exit and go move on to one where it's needed. So I've got a combinator right here that is not actually part of the station. I was just using it to simulate fish or simulate a train coming in. That signal coming in here. So we care about it. We need it. We have a train that has that in it. Our value is -3, which just so happens to be less than -2. So this should be enabled, right? But it's not. It's turned off. Now, why is that? Well, that is because we actually have some hidden signals here. If we take our green wire from the station and send it out, we see that we are getting that -3, which is what we were expecting. That's what this is showing. But if we take the red wire out, since this guy is going to be reading the station contents, that is going to have, the red wire is going to have the value that the train currently has, which in this case, I'm simulating 20. So the actual signal that we're getting for fish at this station is 17, which is greater than -2. So that does not enable the station. It is shut down. Now, I know what you're thinking, Kitch. You're thinking, hey, isn't there a little bit of tolerance in there? Like, for example, what if we had a train that came in with 1 fish in it? Wouldn't that have the station open and wouldn't that mess up the logic? Well, yeah, kinda, but that's going to give us a signal of what, -2, which is enough to open. But if I only have 1 fish in this train, 2 things are going to happen. One, this is full, so that guy's going to go away, or the inserters are going to grab it because it needs more. So that situation is never going to last more than like a second, and it shouldn't affect any of our logic, not that I see happening. So just to confirm that real quick, let's come over here and let's see, throw our fish in the back of this train and send it off to the station. As soon as it comes in, bam, it closes down, you fill up, and we are good to go. We pull this station out, or we pull this train out. Station remains closed because we have our fish. We pull our fish out, station opens back up. Took me a while to wrap my head around that, and a couple of takes at shooting this part of the video. I hope it's clear. It's still not to me. So that is taking care of that, and then the other function that we have, I put an additional combinator down here to read the, it's basically a duplicate of this one right here. I ran out of wire colors, so that's why I had to add an additional one. That is feeding into the back of this arithmetic combinator, and that, of course, is generating our pulses as the trains come in and out. So that's the complete station setup, and I think it's working pretty good. I like it. And I was playing around last night with the idea of taking just one constant combinator down here to be able to set the requests for all of these guys up here, and then just naming the stations in such a way that they get only what they need. And it works, but I had to throw in some additional combinators every now and then that were kind of filtering off stuff like if let's see, that'd be like an arithmetic combinator here and there, where I'd be pulling off, you know, take the fish signal, add 0 to it, and output fish. Coming off there, I'd have to do stuff like that to filter off the signal that I was interested in. And I don't want to go, I want to minimize the number of things that I set. With the way this is set up right now, I have to rename the stations to what I want delivered there. I have to set the combinator with the items that I need per minute, and then that's it. Those are the only 2 things. I don't want to have to go and mess with combinator values. I want it to be automatic. There may be other ways to do that, but I'm fine with having the separate combinators after I struggled with it for quite a while to get it to work. Does work, but not really worth the effort. So let's take a look down here. I've got the whole station, the test station we had earlier, set up running on this system. Everything seems to be working okay. I put the lights in here, so this one's okay. This one's okay. This one's okay. And then that goes into this global light that just says, hey, everything's okay. And we're setting our pulses up here. Trains staying on top of things. And just a few notes. These first two stations are relatively small. The requests really aren't that great. 100 items a minute, 100 items a minute, 300 items a minute. But if we look down here at this end station, I bumped up the requests quite a bit. We're at 500 here, so if we look down, that makes a max request of 5K. So let's just see what happens. Let's see, we're in creative mode. Let's just go ahead and pull out all of this stuff. Go ahead and empty it. That'll summon another iron train to come. Now, when that iron train comes in, we're going to get a signal coming in on this green. That's going to be negated, and then that's going to prevent our iron signal from going out on the network. And when this guy gets done unloading, we're still not going to be past the 5K threshold. Not only do we not have enough, but we're draining it out as we're doing it. So that pulsed back on the iron signal. Whenever this negative signal went away, we still have that iron. So it pushed another pulse, and then that's going to send another train to finish filling this guy up. And there we are. Filled up past 5K. It's going to stop and then move on. Train station remains closed because he is all good to go. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. I appreciate all the input coming. I wish I could claim credit for any of this. I'll claim credit for the idea. I said, I want my train station to do this. And then you all just worked your magic. Let's see. Do I have the personal train here anymore? I don't think so. I think I recycled it for something else. Let's go ahead and just throw you down here. I had to remove the mod that was doing the train building because for whatever reason in creative mode, oh, I can't grab coal. Here, let's take it up here. For whatever reason, I couldn't manually place trains on the track. I'd actually have to produce them with this station. That's why if you look up here, you see this silly train spaghetti going around. I can't place the train here, so I had to redirect this one from over there to over there. So I took that mod out. It's funny, it doesn't work that way in regular, only in creative mode for reasons that are not likely to become clear. All right, let's see. Let's add a station. I want you to go to the fish station. Wait there until you get a circuit condition, and let's go right there. Temporary station. Let's go fast forward through that. What? Oh, I'm not ready to stop train. There we go. All right, nice little pickety third progression there as we pull in our train. All right, let's try that one more time. Yeah, basically A minor resolving to an A major. Very nice. Probably need to adjust some volume down on that because that is a little bit loud and that's going to get kind of annoying. But it's a nice little dramatic thing as our passenger train makes it into the station. All right, well, this is the second episode we've spent just in creative mode messing around. But I think it's been worth it. I think I'm good with this. Hopefully you're not going to run into any problems. This has been running for a while now, and everything seems to be working out really, really well. I do want to make some changes to this. I think we can reduce the number of combinators here significantly. So I do want to do that, but we can do that in the regular world, I think. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you in the next episode. Have a good one. Can you believe this mess? It works, though. It totally works.